Thank you. Distinguished Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear Dr. Suver, it's an honor to be here in Istanbul at the 28th Eurasian Economic Summit. We meet at the moment of profound challenges and of great opportunities. Across our continents, we are witnessing an alarming resurrection of conflict. Interstate armed conflicts, civil wars, hybrid confrontations, and numerous economic challenges. From Ukraine to Caucasus, to Gaza and the Horn of Africa, too many lives are lost and too many futures are erased. Let me offer a couple of key messages that I believe reflect Croatia's experience and rising challenges to peace and more humane and livable world. I think that we can all agree that peace must be built through economic foundations alongside with historical, cultural and political influences. In Croatia, we know the cost of the war, but we also know the dividends of the peace. After the devastation in the 1990s and winning in the War of Independence, our country was rebuilt. Not just its cities and roads, but its institutions and its economy. Integration into the European Union, entering Eurozone and Schengen area, investment in energy independence and reforms in governance helped us emerge stronger. Unemployment rate in Croatia currently is below 5%. We had 3.8% GDP growth in 2024, which was one of the highest GDP growths in the whole European Union. And since the start of the pandemic in 2020, Croatia is the only country in the world to have its credit rating upgraded by 3 levels. All 3 major credit rating agencies upgraded long-term credit ratings to equivalent of A-. In 2023, International Monetary Fund officially reclassified Croatia as an advanced economy, elevating it from status, which was previous status, as developing economy. Croatia thus became 38th sovereign nation in this category. In 2021, LNG terminal on Croatian island of Krk started working and allowed us to be in a better position than some other countries when it comes to the gas supply after the biggest energy crisis which emerged in Europe as a result of Russian aggression on Ukraine. Now, Croatia is doubling its LNG capacity in order to become an energy hub and as well to supply its neighboring countries with gas. So over the past 30 years, Croatia went from low-income country and a significant recipient of development assistance to being a high-income country and a global donor, fully integrated in vital pan-European and global organizations. So our lesson is that prosperity is not only the result of the victory in war for independence and the resulting ceasefire, it is the product of jobs, it's a product of education, functioning institutions, and a future people can believe in. In order to achieve previously mentioned results, Croatia had to manage well all crises we faced in recent history. It was pandemics, we had 2 earthquakes in Croatia, and we have the biggest energy crisis in Europe. Unfortunately, people in Turkey also faced 2 devastating earthquakes. I'm mentioning this energy crisis because every crisis can result in increased economic inequalities which represent formidable challenge for peace. And when we speak about the more humane world, which is the main topic of this summit, we have to address economic inequalities. When vast disparities exist between the rich and the poor, social cohesion is weakened. After the start of the Russian aggression on Ukraine, the whole Europe was hit with, by that time, unthinkable energy crisis, which impacted high rates of inflation, whether we talk about food, whether we talk about energy or services. A couple of months later, many European countries intervened in order to help their citizens and economy by limiting prices of oil, gas, electricity, and even some food products. Croatia did all of that. Collective effort was also done on the EU level when energy ministers limited price of the gas at 180 euros per megawatt hour. There was a big debate on European level whether that price limitation will cause shortages when it comes to the gas on the EU market. I was one of 15 energy ministers at that time who argued we should limit the price at even a lower level and that there will be no shortages. I draw a parallel with me being a kid in the city of Sarajevo during the siege of Sarajevo, and during one discussion on energy, when energy ministers met, I asked them, do they know what was the price of one egg during the siege of Sarajevo? It was 10 Deutschmarks back then, and the price was that high because there was no eggs in the city. But 2 years ago, there was enough gas in whole Europe, so there was no possible when we limit the price of the gas for final result to be the shortage, and nothing of that happened. As soon as we limited the price of the gas, the price started falling immediately from day to day, and the strong message was sent to speculators that they will not benefit over the back of the EU citizens and EU economies. But that did not stop inflation to rise. Analysis done by European Central Bank showed that corporate profits were the biggest factor for driving up prices in 2022, despite the steep decline in the most business costs in the second half of 2022. Inflation went up in 2023 also, and some of EU countries today still have high inflation. So greed, or greedocracy, can also be seen as a challenge to the peace because it's creating frustration and anger among citizens. Therefore, in order to create conditions for a more human and livable world, we have to confront greedocracy on the individual level, government level, and the European level, so the shift in corporate behavior should be required in the way that increasing profits is not the only obsession of companies, especially in times of crisis. Throughout the history, democratic societies have been built on the promise that the hard work, talent, and determination can lift a person from humble beginnings to great achievements. This belief in the possibility of upward mobility has fueled ambition, innovation, and social cohesion. But today, we must confront the uncomfortable reality that economic inequality is putting that promise under the threat. When we speak about economic inequality, we often think of income statistics or wealth gaps. But true danger of inequality is not just that some have more, it is that many are being systematically locked out of the opportunity. In highly unequal societies, a child's future is increasingly determined not by their talent or efforts, but by the circumstances of their birth. Access to the quality education, healthcare, safe neighborhoods, and professional networks.
Dear Davor, please.
Okay, 1 minute. Are all ingredients of success are distributed unequally, reinforcing and amplifying social divides. In other words, inequality does not just affect income, it affects social mobility. There is another subtler effect of inequality, the erosion of hope. When economic gaps become vast and visible, people begin to believe that the system is rigged, that the success is reserved for a privileged few. Aspiration diminishes, civil trust declines, and the social contract weakens. Inequality and lack of opportunity are often root causes of conflict. But when we recommit to ideal of upward mobility, when we invest in every child's potential, not just a lucky few, we unleash the full strength of our people and build a future worthy of their dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, it is evident that the world in which we grew up, that witnessed the establishment of social states in Europe, creation of EU on the idea of peace and prosperity across the continent, and the transatlantic defense partnership among liberal democracies has come to the end. The old is gone, and the new one has not been established yet. The new paradigm will be constructed, and I believe that in order to create a more human and livable world, reducing economic inequalities and supporting social mobility should be core pillars in pursuing this goal. History has taught us what happens if the hope is shattered or given to the populist loud voices, and that scenario is grim. Therefore, governments, civil society, and individuals must work together to provide not just a hope, but a real possibility of realization of that hope. It is time to act, and the time is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.